Okay, I don't know. Invisible.
They do tell us they still have not found the remains of Kristen Smart. 25 years later, John, very tough to put a prosecution together if you don't
I don't
have
have a
a
proper
prosecution. You don't have
as you could probably tell.
Exactly. That's why, while I do agree that the
I don't have a
Smart
proper camera
family
yet,
deserves
and
peace
part
and
of
they
this didn't
deserve
record. I
closure,
had realized I
I
never
don't think we can
actually
take this
pressed play
mystery and move it over to the
because my
solved
phone's
problem just
slow.
yet. For the reason you just explained. We don't
So,
know exactly
yeah, this
what
is where we're
new
at right now. I
evidence
just
has
killed
been
like 4
discovered,
people,
and no matter
and
what
I
is
don't
true,
know if
when
I
you
got
have
away with it yet
evidence
because I
that's
haven't killed the
25
police yet.
years
So,
old, it tends to lose
we'll
its
just go with that.
reliability no matter what.
And you
Even
probably
if
saw
they
the
were
preview, and if you
crime
didn't,
related,
okay,
it might
doesn't
not
matter, you don't
tell
have to
the
watch
whole
it.
story. So
But
we're
to
not
open the phone like I
that
did
much
just now, you
closer
press
to the
enter, you do whatever
resolution, in my
here.
opinion.
I'm gonna get something from info John.
her classmate, Kristen
I
Smart's
don't know yet,
classmate
let's
at
see.
Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. The last person to see her from in this party was an off-campus party. She left that night. He's been the prime suspect for 25 years. The question now is, why arrest him? What do you think? You've done a lot of this over the years, John. What do you think they found that turned the tide?
Pleasure doing business
So
with you.
it could be a couple of things. And when we look
Let's
back
go to
historically
services.
at some high-profile cases where people were
I don't
arrested
need
prior
anything
to
here.
remains being found, they either were on the verge of finding them. In other words, they knew where they were going to find them, so they arrested somebody in advance of that. Or in a case like this, they might be hoping that 25 years later, if they put enough pressure on Paul Flores and his father, somebody might start talking. The sidebar, if I were representing them, I'd say it's not in their best interest to do any talking
Nice.
whatsoever. But look at the case of Natalie Holloway.
Over here.
Everybody, there was tons of circumstantial evidence that she was
Were there people down there?
probably raped and murdered. Nobody's ever been tried or convicted or arrested for her disappearance. And so what is bringing us closer in this case? Either they know that they're about to find something, or they're hoping that somebody's going to
Goodbye,
talk for
child.
some
What I
reason.
found it fascinating, the county sheriff, we heard him at the top of the segment, said that
Next
mistakes were made early in
victim.
this investigation by the investigators. We know that when mistakes are made early, it's very hard to overcome them sometimes.
But Trish, you gotta remember,
Goodbye,
no matter
kneecaps.
what, those mistakes that were made early were made 25 years ago. I'm hard pressed to
Let me move
realize
right
that
here.
nobody's
Drop this girl
digging in
right
the
there.
father's
Put my
backyard or
weapon
anybody's
back in my
backyard
bag
25 years ago when this
because
person,
I need
Paul
it.
Flores, was the last person known to be with Kristen Smart. So you've got a lot of time between that investigation and this investigation. So you better hope whatever they discover now is really going to tell a tale.
We don't
But
dispose
like
of
I
bodies
said,
here.
when evidence is this old,
Not yet,
that's
at
a
least.
really tough road to hoe.
Yep, the case is horrifying and fascinating. John Spilborn, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Police and protesters facing off again in the Minneapolis suburb of Brooklyn Center. We're in a third night of riots over the police
can
involvement
be.
of Dante Wright. Protesters setting fire
No, you
to
don't.
the streets and shielding
Don't tell a
themselves
teacher.
with
Don't be a
umbrellas
snitch.
as police fired tear gas. More than 60 people were arrested. It happened near Brooklyn Center's police headquarters where National Guard soldiers stood watch. The killing of Dante
She's gonna
Wright
be a
Sunday
snitch.
was
She's
at
gonna
least
tell
the
on
third
me.
high-profile killing of a black
She
man
told
by
on
police
me.
in the Minneapolis area in the past 5 years.
I begged and pleaded for her not to tell anybody, but she told on me.
Welcome to the second hour of Newsroom.
Dan, good
God
morning to
damn
you
it.
again. Good morning, everyone. I'm Trace Gallagher. We are continuing coverage of that and other stories breaking out of the riots in Brooklyn, Seattle, and Minneapolis. But we're going to go first to Chief.
Yeah, we have Chief James.
She's
Craig
not
who's with
dead.
us.
She's
And
sleeping.
we appreciate you being here. You are the Detroit Police Chief, sir. And this Rashida Tlaib tweet is certainly getting a lot of attention. Just for everybody to see once again, she says it wasn't an accident. Policing in our country is inherently and intentionally racist.
Hey, yo, watch the hands,
With
man.
aggression and violence, I am done with those who condone government-funded murder. No more policing, incarceration, and militarization.
You're gonna
It
get my
can't
dress all
be
dirty.
reformed. Do you agree, sir, that it can't be reformed?
I'm gonna get my
I know
shirt
that you
dirty, bro.
have been working hard to do some of these reforms.
I gotta tell you, Danielle, her comments are just simply described as this: reckless, disgusting, knee-jerk response to an issue that she's painting the entire profession with a broad brush. That's the problem today. And then who is she really speaking for? Look, I've been a police chief here in Detroit for 8 years. Let me tell you what I know. Detroit residents do not want to defund the police. They don't want to dismantle the police.
You don't need to tell
so
anybody.
Who's she speaking for? She's reckless, and all she's doing this for is to bring attention to herself. Nothing more.
We're gonna have to go a separate way
police officers
because
under your command, are they affected by this
no, separate way,
policy
this way.
discussion and the politicization of it that's happening?
Dead.
Some-
Lead me to
sometimes
them.
taking
Don't lead her
national
to them, you
politics and
fucking
bringing them to
snitch.
very local issues like what's happened in Brooklyn Center.
I'll tell you what's different here in Detroit. I'm very fortunate and blessed that the men and women
You're probably gonna be watching this right now, and this is the exact time that I got your message. But I can't currently look at that because you know.
Same what's going on across the nation, whether it's New York, I was home of Los Angeles. I get
What?
calls from members of my old department.
Oh crap,
So
martial arts
dissatisfied.
kids.
They don't feel
Hi.
supported. People are leaving police service, they're retiring, they're resigning, and gangs are even having difficulty recruiting. That's not happening here in Detroit. We still have a pipeline of candidates coming in once a month.
Give me a
our
second, guys,
attrition
hold on.
rate has declined. And some other good news is folks that have left our agency for higher paid jobs and other agencies want to come home. And I always ask the question why. They said because we know you
Okay,
support men and women.
whenever you send me another message, I am not gonna be able to look at it at the moment because I'm trying to do this so I can figure out what I'm gonna do next on this plan that I have for myself.
That reassures the community that we know what effective and transparent policing looks like.
I don't get the joke. I don't get the joke. But I will tell them your joke.
Do you agree with the decisions in Minnesota
Okay, so
where the police chief
what do you call a group of Karens?
and of course the officer
A
who
homeowners
shot
association.
Right,
I don't entirely understand,
police chief resigning. Was
but
that necessary, or are we running people
whatever.
out of these jobs so quickly?
I just might have a poor sense of humor.
The number of police chiefs over last year. The summer of love was described by many.
It can be real.
Chiefs that left
You just don't want to believe that it's
some
real.
voluntarily, some forced out, and so this is not unusual.
Okay, if this one doesn't work, I'm just gonna leave everything and run.
Certainly, the community, our community, supports this police department, supports this police chief, but that doesn't mean that outside agitators come in and start the crime. They do.
I'm trying to have you guys enjoy my content instead of just sitting here and not doing anything at all.
We're going to have these summer of love and these anarchists.
This person's gonna see me, he's gonna tell me.
Our activists.
Karina found a corpse. Karina, Kuno, Karana,
And let's face it.
Chocolatalata.
Program yesterday about what I
You know what? I'm gonna risk it. I'm just gonna kill everything and everyone.
managers out. The rioting is stopped.
Die, Karen.
No, it's going to continue.
Keep going,
I
right?
said it yesterday,
Right.
and it happened.
Die.
So I said yesterday on Neil Cavuto's show, and I'm just glad to have a chance to talk to you myself. Thank you, Chief. We'll be
Die.
Great, looking forward to it, Dana. Have a great day.
Die.
Today. Our nation needs justice and
Oh
healing,
darn.
and law enforcement must be
Oh
held
darn. The
to the
unfortunacy.
high standards of accountability.
Okay, but to be for
At the same
real.
time, we know
Wait,
that
to be
folks keep dying
actually for
if we
real.
don't fully address
I'm gonna reset the day and I'm gonna do a task.
and inequities in
And
our
we're gonna get
country.
rid of Osana.
Vice President Kamala Harris, quick to react
If I
to the
didn't
shooting
already.
death of Dante Wright, even as she has so far neglected to say anything about other big issues like the crisis at the border. Bill McGurn is a Fox News contributor, the Main Street columnist at the Wall Street Journal, and former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush. Bill, it's always good to see you. Quickly on that, Kamala Harris. 21 days we've been waiting for the point person on the border to say something about the border. Nothing. And yet she very quickly jumps in.
You might be wondering what
to
task I'm gonna be
Dante Wright.
doing, and if you're not, then that's entirely fine too.
Yeah, always surprised. Look, the border is a very difficult thing. She clearly doesn't want to have anything to do with it or any responsibility. A lot easier to pile on here. Her statement wasn't quite as bad as the Congresswoman's, but it doesn't help. It's the idea, the implicit idea that it's racism behind it.
If you hear any
Before we
background
have
noise,
all
just
the
ignore
facts
it.
in, I think does not contribute to resolving the situation peacefully.
Yeah, and you mentioned the congresswoman. You're talking, of course, about Rashida Tlaib.
What can I help you with?
Dana just put that up on the
Right.
screen. She said, in essence, our country
Don't
is inherently
misbehave.
intentionally racist. But
Let's just try to look inside your room,
Ocasio-Cortez,
but okay.
intentionally racist. Dante Wright was met with aggression and
She doesn't
violence.
like
I'm
me.
done with
We're
those
gonna go
who
to the
condone
nurse's
government-funded
office.
murder, no more policing, incarceration, and militarization that cannot be reformed. Move on now to the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweet where she said,
I don't actually need this for my plan, but I'm gonna take it
disconnected
anyway.
accident. It was the repeated outcome of an indefensible system that grants impunity for state violence, rewards it with endlessly growing budgets at the cost of community investment, and targets those who question that order. She
I thought I
knows
was
very
holding
well,
that.
Bill, that when you defund and you lower police budgets, crime goes up, and yet the tweet.
Hey.
Yeah, well, of course they get attention. Look, I don't think we should be surprised that people like this pile on and inflame the
get it.
situation and so forth, and act without any knowledge or in contradiction to some of the knowledge we
Okay,
have
I don't
of
think
the
that
facts.
counts.
But we have to look beyond it. The real problem is, what does this accomplish when we riot after the fact? What does it accomplish, and what is the end? And we see this all over. You know, the real tragedy here is that I think every poll would show you that the people that live in these cities and neighborhoods, especially those less well off, they want the police to protect them. They know what it's like to be left out on their own. And yet we have cities
I'm trying
that
to do the
can't
bounty, bro.
control crime. I mean, we're just spending all this money on infrastructure. Who's going to invest in these cities if they can't keep a lid on the crime?
Yeah. Is it why you think Nancy Pelosi is kind of distancing herself from these far left congresswomen, the squad?
Yeah, and I think President Biden, I don't think he was quite trying to distance himself there, but he did condemn the violence and say there's
What
no
are they
excuse. But
doing?
this is,
What are
you
you
know,
like
and it's also,
idiots?
they're trying, by the accusations of racism is meant not to have a debate. It's meant to tar anyone that brings up some fact or something that's inconvenient, to tar them with racism. For example, you know, in most of these cases, or many of these cases, let's just say, certainly in this case, if the person did not resist arrest, that person would still be alive. I mean, if you really cared about life, you would send a message out. If the police misbehave,
Hi.
call us, we'll sue them, we'll hold them
The favorite emo
accountable, but
girl.
don't resist arrest during the process. And yet, you can't even say that. The implicit idea seems to be that people have a right to resist arrest and have nothing happen. Once you do that, then all control over events is gone. You know, a fight breaks out, you don't know what's going to happen. It's dangerous for everyone.
Which is why police officers believe that nobody's got their back, because they're always afraid to make that arrest and go to the next level when somebody resists. Bill McGurn, always good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fox News alert: migrants now taking advantage of the rugged terrain along the
Oh,
Arizona
my phone's
border.
about to turn
Unlike
off.
Texas,
Okay,
where
there we
you can
go.
see women, children, and unaccompanied minors, apprehensions in the Tucson area are dominated by single adult Mexican males, and they're now turning the remote town of Sasabe into a major focal point of the border crisis. And that's where we find William Lajeunesse to bring us the story. Hi, William.
Entry and gotaways. Those are migrants who are detected crossing the border, usually by a camera,
Pretty
a
good.
sensor, or a tower, but they're not caught. I mean, 3 reasons why. Number one, right here. This is where the fence ends. Yes. So dozens of migrants can get through.
Hi.
They're very hard to catch. Why?
Library, where
This
are you
is the
going?
Oda Odom Indian Reservation, almost the size of Connecticut. It's remote, it's rugged, there's very few roads, long distances, make catching and transporting everyone nearly impossible. Here a group crosses and they get picked up by a horse trailer. The guy got away to Mexico. And because it's Indian land, it is deemed mostly sacred. There are many areas that agents simply can't go.
There's certain things you cannot
Dude,
do.
stop
There's certain roads
moving
you can't
so
ride. There's certain
god dang much.
areas you can't climb. There's certain areas you can't take your vehicle. There's just spots. It's almost like some of these agents are handcuffed and doing their job.
The federal government's continued destruction of our religious and cultural resources and nothing less but bulldozing
Tell me
of our
more
church
about the boy
grounds
you like.
and our
Why would you
cemeteries.
vote for him?
I don't want to hear their
reported
conversation.
12,000 gotaways, many are much more than any other sector, and many get through, but some don't make it out alive. Last night, agents had 2 911 calls for migrants who were lost and stranded in the desert.
What do you
Last
need?
year, the Pima County Medical Examiner autopsied the remains of 220 undocumented border crossings. Their personal effects are kept in lockers to identify and hopefully bring closure to families.
If we have smaller property items,
I'm not gonna sit there and listen to their conversations and get them random stuff. I'm gonna do this now.
Cell phone or
Because it's like the main thing for this
we can
video.
keep them in these lockers.
So what happens
I gotta get
out
us
here,
on
Dana,
that.
because this area is so remote and there's so few roads, the smugglers, the